Diary of a CEO guest. Alex Cooper speaks about her experience as the host of the Daddy Gang podcast. She explains that the podcast has become one of the most successful female podcasts in the world, with hundreds of millions of downloads every month. However, she also highlights the toll that this level of success has taken on her personally, particularly during the last year when she was struggling with a co-host. Cooper reveals that behind the scenes, the friendship that was portrayed on the show was actually crumbling, and she found herself taking on the role of the villain. She discusses the importance of not losing oneself to achieve success, and reflects on the value of being passionate about one's work, citing her father's love for his job as a sports television producer as a formative influence in her own career aspirations. Cooper talks about her tendency to please people and keep employees on despite not doing their job because she doesn't want them to speak badly of her online. However, her therapist advises her to fire them if they aren't fulfilling their job requirements. Cooper also discusses the cost of exploiting her personal life for content, stating that it's not normal to be open about sex life, breakups, traumas, and family issues on the internet. She adds that it's tough to constantly exceed people's expectations and push the boundaries of what is acceptable. Cooper then goes on to explain how the pressure to consistently produce content affects her mental health. She talks about feeling trapped in the entertainment industry at times and being fearful of how unforgiving it can be. Additionally, Cooper acknowledges that filling an hour of content every week is a daunting task that can cause her to lose her mind. To cope with this, Cooper provides herself with a break by pivoting her show to interviews. She states that interviewing others fulfills her childhood dream of wanting to connect with people and discuss various topics. Alex Cooper then discusses the impact of her financial deal with Spotify, which has been widely discussed in the media. She notes that the experience of earning a large sum of money was surreal, and she feels fortunate to have been raised to stay grounded in the face of success. Despite the significant financial reward of her work, Cooper remains focused on keeping her work authentic and true to herself. She continues to work with the same technology, and in the same manner as she always has, rather than letting the success change her approach. Cooper also discusses the challenges of being a successful woman in relationships, noting that some men can feel emasculated by their partner's success. However, she states that her current partner is not threatened by her success and even finds it attractive. Cooper emphasizes the importance of respect in relationships and having a partner who can support her career and passions. She emphasizes that defining success is essential in relationships, and that it is not just about making money, but rather having a sense of drive and purpose. According to her, two individuals with their unique preferences and goals can come together and create a great couple. Cooper also touches on the pain and happiness that comes with love and emphasizes the importance of experiencing true love and the joys and sorrows that come with it. Additionally, during the interview, Bartlett introduces some questions they collected from previous guests, and Cooper picks two of them to answer. One of the questions asks about the type of pain she enjoys having, and she responds that she has recently experienced the painful moments of loving someone but that it also brings happiness and joy, and the other question asks if her partner were not successful if their relationship would work, and she emphasizes that success is not just about money but rather having passion, drive, and purpose. Alex and Steven mention how it can be hard to align two people's lives, but the process of working through that pain can lead to a once-in-a-lifetime love. Cooper talks about how her younger self would be proud of all her accomplishments and staying true to her passions, taking risks, and putting herself out there. Bartlett asks Cooper what she would tell her young self if she had the chance, and she responds by saying to hang in there and ask for help when needed. Additionally, the conversation shifts to Cooper's upcoming business venture that will expand and elevate the "Call Her Daddy" brand, and the importance of demanding what you want and faking it until you make it in business. The hosts encourage listeners to check out their new conversation cards, which are aimed at creating vulnerability between loved ones. Cooper emphasizes how identifying what you want is crucial to being confident in business, and using that as a compass for direction can help you find ways to fulfill those desires. Cooper admits that at times she struggled to ask for help and open herself up to different ideas and mindsets from others, but she has learned to do so in order to help her reach her goals. She encourages others to do the same, as it can lead to finding help and support, even in unexpected ways. Cooper also shares her desire to explore other avenues in producing and directing rather than just hosting her podcast. She believes she naturally is more of a producer and is eager to explore past the boundaries of podcasting. Cooper discloses that she had been dealing with negativity from someone in her life, which was hindering her happiness. Through seeking advice from her therapist, she learned about setting boundaries and took the necessary steps to rectify the situation. When asked about what makes for a perfect interview on Call Her Daddy, Cooper emphasizes the need for guests to come in open-minded and express things that they might be uncomfortable saying, while being willing to speak frankly and openly. She also stresses on the need for building trust with guests and creating a space where they feel comfortable being vulnerable. Cooper believes that human emotion is relatively similar, irrespective of country or level, and the goal of the podcast is to make everyone feel connected to the guest. Despite being open about her life experiences, Cooper admits to keeping some things close to her chest until she can formulate them with more insight. After careful consideration, Cooper expresses her fear towards her career in producing content, particularly in the public sphere. She admits that while she loves what she does and feels happy, the public world can be scary and unnatural, and the pressure to constantly produce and perform can be overwhelming. She struggles with the idea of whether it would be better to have fewer people watching and pick something more behind the scenes. Cooper acknowledges that it is hard to detach from the intoxication and addiction of the job. Cooper describes herself as being the happiest she's ever been, despite constantly thinking about what's next and being unable to shut her brain off. Alex attributes her happiness to her work, which she finds thrilling and exciting, but also admits that the job is weird and is still trying to figure it out. Bartlett praises Alex's obsession with her work, acknowledging that there's always a cost to brilliance. He notes that Alex's future projects, such as the launch of Alex Cooper Studios and movies, will be equally as awesome if they hold the same principles as her current show. Alex then talks about her upbringing and her relationship with her mother, who is a psychologist. She reveals that her parents cared about their children's emotional intelligence along with their intelligence quotient. Her parents always asked them how they were feeling and encouraged them to connect with their emotions. Alex talks about how she struggled to be honest with her parents about her struggles in school and feeling embarrassed about it. She would instead compartmentalize her school struggles and try to engage in things that made her happy to separate the two. This led her to find her passion in creating content and making films. Alex gets emotional as she reveals a journal of hers that talked about her struggles in school and how creating content saved her life. Alex shared her personal experience of being bullied as a child, which led to her feeling isolated and having dark thoughts of suicide. She found a journal where she wrote that she hoped her bullies would realize the impact of their words if she killed herself. This experience has had a profound impact on her and continues to affect her as an adult. Alex acknowledged that while some people say they wouldn't take back negative experiences because they made them who they are, she would take back the experience of being bullied as it caused her a lot of pain. Alex also talked about how she brought up her experience of being bullied to her fans before telling her therapist. This allowed her to connect with her fans on a deeper level, but she is still working through the impact of her childhood experiences in therapy. Steven related to Alex's situation and shared his personal experience of being the only black kid in an all-white school and coming from a poor family, which made him feel shame and isolation. He also turned to being alone as a coping mechanism. Alex explained how being bullied made her hate herself, and she tried to change herself to fit in. She felt the need for peer approval and cared about people liking her. She shared that she had a friend who was also going through a similar experience, but they did not know it at the time. Alex stated that bullying is tough to explain unless one has gone through it personally. She explained how she developed a tendency to people please and seek validation from others because she wanted to fit in and be liked. She also developed a defense mechanism of avoiding rejection and hurt by distancing herself from romantic relationships. Cooper further discussed how she turned to content creation as an outlet to cope with her struggles. Creating characters and storylines for her videos empowered her with confidence, allowing her to escape from her daily struggles in school and connect with her true self. The conversation shifts towards therapy and the role it played in helping Cooper become her true self both on and off camera. Initially, therapy was not making much of an impact, and Cooper was hiding her emotions and struggles from her therapist. However, her therapist challenged her to be honest and vulnerable, and provided a safe space for her to work through her trauma. Alex Cooper discusses her experience with therapy and the struggles that led her to seek help. She explains that she had created a hard exterior as a result of being bullied and that it was difficult for her to open up and talk about her insecurities. However, she recognized that in order to make changes within herself, she had to be honest and open in therapy. Cooper admits that therapy was not easy and initially felt awkward, but it was a pivotal moment for her when she finally broke down her layers and spoke honestly with her therapist. Cooper goes on to discuss the specific struggles she experienced in her personal and business life, including living with someone she was doing business with and struggling to take care of herself in an unhealthy environment. She admits to being in a codependent relationship, which ultimately took a toll on her mental and physical health. When asked what advice she needed most at that moment, Cooper does not provide a specific answer but suggests that if she had received advice earlier, it may have prevented her from getting into that situation. Alex goes on to share her own experience with her podcast, Call Her Daddy, which became hugely successful but also caused her immense misery due to her misalignment with her partner's vision. She stresses the importance of having similar goals from the outset in order to avoid future issues. The hosts also touch on the concept of thinking big from the outset and envisioning success, and how doing so prepares you for the future. Steven Bartlett advises his listeners to imagine being offered $100 million and to ensure their contracts are ironclad as they grow. Alex echoes the advice but also reflects on the importance of learning from past mistakes and being prepared for the future. She mentions how important it is to know what you want and not to rush into things without reflection, as this can lead to making decisions you may regret. Alex also talks about how difficult it can be for people pleasers to set boundaries and communicate their desires, especially when they become successful. She shares how she struggled with trying to please everyone around her, which led to unhealthy behaviors such as managing drugs and alcohol. Alex also talks about the struggles of public perception and how it can impact one's mental health, particularly when there is public fallout. She shares how she had to learn to accept that not everyone will like her, and that she can't please everyone. She believes that both sides have their own storylines and see things differently, which is okay. She uses the example of how relationships, whether romantic or friendships, may end because people don't see things the same way. Additionally, she discusses the success of her podcast, Call Her Daddy, which is the most listened to female podcast in the world exclusive to Spotify. The show has been successful from the beginning because of Alex's unique relationship with her audience, especially as a woman talking about sex, which garnered trust from listeners. The success of the show also surprised her because there was no plan when it first started, and she didn't even want to be a podcaster. Alex believes that the show's success is due to the authenticity of their conversations and being able to discuss taboo topics. Alex shares that the Daddy Gang, her audience, relies on her for support, and how she has built a deep connection with them, which has helped her content grow. Despite being in situations where executives want her to make changes to appease investors or to fit into a certain mold, Alex has been intentional about prioritizing her relationship with her audience and not compromising on her content. In discussing her personal sacrifice, Alex mentions that she has skipped out on important family events to make sure she's giving her audience an amazing episode. She also acknowledges the challenge of balancing her responsibilities as a talent, a CEO, and an executive producer, stating that it's a little contradictory. However, Alex is passionate about her work and loves producing content, which has propelled her to continue innovating and making her show better. She states that she has never doubted that this is what she's meant to be doing. Check out the full podcast by clicking the link in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for listening to this podcast summary episode of the Pod Slice.